July 2015. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, is shaking hands with a man named Stuart Garner inside a motorcycle factory in Leicestershire. £4 million of taxpayers' money has just been announced for the company behind him. 600 new jobs promised. The press calls Garner the man who saved Norton. In a different room, in a different year, a woman named Sally Holmes is telling the pensions ombudsman about her father. He had multiple sclerosis. The family knew he would not live long. He had invested £155,000 of his Halifax pension into a scheme that Garner controlled. He died before he could withdraw a penny. Stuart Garner says he never profited from those pension schemes. The judge at his sentencing said he caused profound harm. Both statements are on the public record. Both, somehow, are true. This is the story of how a 125-year-old British icon got rebuilt on £11 million of stolen retirement savings, and who, in the end, deserves the badge on the new bike. Norton was founded in Birmingham in 1898 by a man named James Lansdowne Norton. For most of the next century, it built motorcycles that won the Isle of Man and beat the world. Then it died, and then it died again. By 2008, the brand had been through more than a dozen owners. NVT in the 70s, Philippe Larue in the 80s, American splinter attempts. By the early 2000s, Norton was just a logo with no factory, owned by an Oliver Kerm Boston investment banker. The actual prototype, the air-cooled Commando 961, had been built by a man named Kenny Dreer in a workshop in Oregon. Dreer ran out of money. Kerm ran out of patience. Then Lehman Brothers collapsed. Kerm had a week to liquidate. He picked up the phone and called a fireworks importer in Derbyshire. The fireworks importer's name was Stuart Garner. Garner had left school at 16. He had been a gamekeeper at Foremark Hall on £16 a week. By his 30s, he was one of Britain's largest importers of Chinese pyrotechnics, running a company called Fireworks International from a site in Staffordshire. To buy Norton, he needed money he did not have, so he pledged a company called Spondon Engineering, a famous old British frame builder, of which he owned exactly 50%, as collateral on a £1.2 million loan. His business partner later told Superbike magazine that he believed Garner had forged his signature on the loan documents. A separate £1 million Garner used to seal the deal turned out to be the proceeds of a tax fraud run by two men named Peter Bradley and Andrew Meeson, Garner's associates, both later convicted and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. On the 9th of October 2008, Companies House records Stuart Garner as the new director of Norton Motorcycles. The press calls him a savior. Remember Bradley and Meeson? They come back. Between 2012 and 2013, 3 pension schemes appear in the records. Their names are Commando 2012, Dominator 2012, and Donington MC. Their sole trustee is Stuart Garner. 255 working people are persuaded to roll over their entire retirement pots into these schemes, £11.5 million in total, by introducers including a man calling himself Simon Colfer. Colfer, it later emerges, is a convicted fraudster operating under a false name. He will be jailed in 2018. Under the Pensions Act of 1995, a sole trustee may invest no more than 5% of a scheme's assets in his own connected business. The rule exists for an obvious reason. Pension money is supposed to be safe. Stuart Garner moves nearly 100%, almost £11 million, from 3 pension schemes into Norton Motorcycle Holdings, a company he owns and runs. The transfer happens in exchange for preference shares. Think about that for a second. The legal cap is 5%. He invested 100%. The pensions ombudsman would later rule that the money had been spent paying the people behind the liberation scam, buying cryptocurrencies, and making cash withdrawals. A man named Paul Finch, 52 years old, 27 years at Princess Yachts, multiple sclerosis, retired early, asks for his £100,000 back in December 2017. He is refused. Sally Holmes's father, also living with multiple sclerosis, never sees his £155,000 again. While the pensioners are being told their money is locked in, Norton is selling motorcycles to a different set of victims. The Norton V4 SS retails for £44,000. Of roughly 30 bikes ever delivered, evidence suggests as many as 9 are quietly stripped for parts back at the Donington Hall factory. The Insolvency Service later finds that between the 9th of September and the 12th of November 2019, at least 6 fully paid-for warranty bikes had components worth £123,000 removed at the factory and bolted to new bikes destined to other customers. Norton's head of design at the time, a man named Simon Skinner, is later struck off as a director for 5 years for allowing it to happen. One owner, John Hamilton, posts footage on social media of his stripped V4 being recovered from the factory floor. Another, Kenneth Lawrence, gets a phone call from the administrators with photographs of his disassembled bike. He paid in full. In December 2019, Stuart Garner is still telling the trade press that Norton's future is bright. By that point, HMRC has already issued a winding-up order for an unpaid £300,000 tax bill. At the end of January 2020, Norton Motorcycles UK Limited enters administration. The accountancy firm BDO is appointed. Across the 4 Garner-controlled companies, including the one that owned the 18th-century Donington Hall mansion he had been living in, total debts reach roughly £14 million. 4 months later, an Indian conglomerate completes the cash purchase of Norton for £16 million. Its name is TVS Motor Company, based in Chennai, the 3rd largest motorcycle manufacturer in India. TVS does the deal through a UK subsidiary called Project 303 Bidco Limited, incorporated specifically for the acquisition on the 2nd of April 2020. By the 17th of April, Stuart Garner has resigned every directorship. The Donington Hall mansion is gone. The factory is gone. The brand is in Chennai's hands now. But administration is a business event. What happens to him is a criminal one. On the 7th of February 2022, Garner pleads guilty to 3 counts of breaching employer-related investment rules, 1 count for each of his 3 pension schemes. On the 31st of March, at Derby Crown Court, Her Highness Judge Nirmal Shant hands down sentence. 12 months in prison, commuted to 8, suspended for 2 years. A 3-year director ban. Costs £20,716 to the pension regulator. Judge Shant reads from the victim statements before sentencing. Her words are on the public record. Quote, "I have read statement after statement of the trauma you have done to the lives of ordinary people who thought they were investing in their future. Many of them spoke of broken relationships, profound ill health, and having to face the misery of having to work much longer than they planned because of the financial damage you have done." End quote. The combined shortfall across the 3 pension schemes at the time of administration is £10 million. Garner had already filed for personal bankruptcy in May 2021. He has never repaid a single pound. In September 2023, the Pensions Regulator's Determinations Panel issues a separate prohibition order. Stuart James Garner, born November 1968, is banned from acting as a trustee of any pension scheme. His name is on the public register today. You can look it up.
But here is the part the brand administration videos miss. The pensioners got paid.
In March 2024, the Fraud Compensation Fund, a statutory body funded by levies on every occupational pension scheme in the United Kingdom, paid £9.4 million into the trustees of the Norton schemes. By August 2024, the figure had risen to £9.8 million. Dalriada trustees distributed the money through standard life accounts. More than 200 members received their share. Billy Wallace, 59 years old, told The Guardian he had been credited with £33,000 against an estimated lifetime loss of £60,000. Quote, "Until I see it in my own bank account, that's when I'll believe it." The brand, meanwhile, was being rebuilt without him. In March 2021, TVS opened a new global headquarters for Norton in Solihull in the West Midlands. The factory was designed to produce 8,000 high-end motorcycles a year. In March 2022, TVS committed an additional £100 million. In October 2025, during Prime Minister Keir Starmer's trade visit to Delhi, the total was raised to £250 million over 5 years, with 300 new jobs and a research partnership with the University of Warwick. In mid-May 2026, TVS flew the world motorcycle press to Seville, Spain, for the launch ride of the 2027 Norton Manx R, a 1200cc, 72-degree V4, 206 brake horsepower. Starting price, €23,250. The first all-new Norton platform since 2010, designed in Solihull, built in Solihull by an English workforce with Indian capital, on the financial bones of British pensioners. Norton's current chief executive, a man named Richard Arnold, called the new bike a charismatic vision of the mark. So the obvious question is whether Stuart Garner was a fraud or a believer. The obvious answer is one or the other. The honest answer refuses both. Speaking to the BBC in March 2024, Garner said this: "We had 12 strong years at Norton, generating £40 million of revenue and creating hundreds of jobs. I never profited in any shape or form from the pension schemes." The pensions ombudsman in June 2020 said this: "The trustee acted dishonestly in breach of his duty, so unreasonable that no reasonable trustee could have held such a belief." Both quotes are matters of public record. Both cannot be entirely true. Neither is entirely false. Stuart Garner was a man who genuinely believed he was saving Norton, and a man whose method for doing it caused profound harm to people who could not afford to lose anything. He pled guilty to breaching investment rules, not to theft. He never profited the way a thief profits. He simply broke the law that was supposed to protect Sally Holmes's father and Paul Finch in Billy Wallace, in service of a brand he loved. The pensioners got paid by an institution. The bike got built by foreigners. The Englishman who promised both got a suspended sentence and a podcast career. Every Manx R that rolls off the Solihull line carries two histories inside it. One was paid for in pounds sterling, the other in years of someone else's life. If this changed how you think about who really owns British motorcycle history, subscribe to the channel. We dig into the financial bones behind the badges every single week.